When you think of chocolate candies or hot fudge here in Michigan, most of us think of Morley's and Sanders. Irwin and Julia Morley opened their first candy store in East Detroit in 1919. Fred Sanders opened his first Sanders store in Detroit in 1875. Both family-owned companies rich in Detroit tradition and history are now one, brought together by these two men. You guys are like family as well. You grew up together.
Yeah, we
Very
did.
much so. Royal Oak.
Ron Rapson began working for Morley's in the early 80s, eventually becoming owner and president. He brought his buddy and now business partner Brian Jefferson on board to help bring the time-honored traditions and even the old recipes back to the Sanders and Morley names. While Morley's was a fairly successful candy company, Sanders fell on hard times, went into bankruptcy, and in the 80s was sold. Ironically, a few years later, Morley's was contracted to make the Sanders candy.
Took the recipes and actually brought the recipes back to what people remember them. And as they went through those hard times in the 80s, you know, it was hard to tell if the recipes were maintained. And when we actually started producing the candy, we started getting some real positive feedback from Sanders customers is, hey, this is what I remember.
After a year of successfully making the candy for Sanders, Morley's was awarded the opportunity to make the product that put Sanders on the map, Sanders Hot Fudge Ice Cream Topping.
And we actually retrofitted a part of our facility and started making ice cream topping, which we had never made before. Hired some of the candy makers from the old Sanders plant and make ice cream topping. We make it right here in Clinton Township right now. It's our #1 selling product.
But Morley's and Sanders didn't officially become one until 2001.
We had the opportunity to buy the brand and bring it back to Michigan in the Detroit area. And when that opportunity came up, we jumped all over it. As a kid, that's all there was Sanders. And we used to go downtown. Dad worked downtown. We'd go to Hudson's and then Sanders and you know, sprinkled throughout the community, there were just, you know, dozens of Sanders stores. So it was a very big part of my growing up. And our goal is to bring that back to our kids.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Ron and Brian continue to operate the Morley's Candy Store here in Clinton Township and have opened new Sanders stores throughout the area. But they're doing it the old-fashioned way.
Well, when you purchase Sanders, this is one of the recipe boxes that we inherited. And you know, we're painstakingly going back and trying to replicate, you know, actually all the way back to the 1930s or 40s. That's when we think the recipes were at their best.
So the bumpy cake and the cream puff are back, and so is the one recipe that they would never mess around with, Sanders Hot Fudge, whether it's straight out of the jar or on top of your favorite ice cream.
Every birthday, Christmas, that Sanders fudge by the can, I would eat it with a spoon, which explains my svelte figure.
To find out more about Morley's and Sanders products, log on to myfoxdetroit.com. And if you have a Made in Michigan product that you would like us to feature, also myfoxdetroit.com, keyword Made in Michigan. I'm Jackie Page.